Chemtrails. You might have seen long white lines in the sky behind planes. It's natural to say it's water vapor, but believers in the chemtrail theory see it differently. To them, these aren't just flight trails. They are chemicals being intentionally sprayed into the atmosphere. They claim it's part of secret programs to control the weather, or even to manipulate human behavior and health. Some believe they are used to spread diseases, reduce the population, or indirectly influence minds. What reinforces this for them is that some lines stay for a long time and spread strangely across the sky, which they see as proof that they aren't natural. However, science explains it differently. They are just contrails, resulting from the condensation of water vapors in cold atmospheric layers. Despite this, the theory hasn't disappeared because humans naturally fear things they can't see directly, especially if it's right over their heads every day. Again, the question returns: is everything we see really that simple, or are there bigger things hidden from us? Vaccines and autism. This is one of the most dangerous conspiracy theories because its harm didn't stop at talk. It actually affected public health. The theory claims that vaccines, specifically the MMR vaccine, cause autism in children. It started with an old study published in the 90s, which was later proven to be fraudulent and full of violations. The doctor who published it was exposed, and his license was revoked. However, the idea had already spread. Many parents, especially those looking for an explanation for anything happening to their children, clung to the theory and began doubting all vaccines. The internet later helped it spread like wildfire, because any personal story or emotional video would go viral even without scientific evidence. The problem is that this theory led many to refuse to vaccinate their children. The result was the return of old diseases that could have been eradicated, like measles. It's an example of how fear, when mixed with misinformation, becomes more dangerous than the disease itself. Wait a second. If you've made it this far, you're clearly interested in the content. A like and a subscription. The moon landing. One of the most famous theories people are still debating to this day. Did America actually land on the moon? Or was the whole thing a carefully staged act to win the space race against the Soviet Union? Believers in this theory say that the Apollo 11 landing in 1969 didn't happen the way we know it, and that the footage was filmed in a studio on Earth. They point to things like the American flag appearing to move, the shadows in photos not making sense, or the lack of stars in the sky. They argue that the technology back then wasn't even enough to pull off something of that magnitude. The idea began to spread rapidly after books, films, and documentaries questioned the official account. Then came the internet, which made it go viral. Of course, the other side says there is clear scientific evidence, like rock samples, flight data, and the testimonies of thousands who worked on the program, even independent tracking of the mission. But despite all this, the theory hasn't vanished. Many people love to link massive achievements to political and media games. To the viewer, the allure of the theory isn't just about the moon itself. It's about the terrifying question: if they could fake an event this big, what else could be fake? The JFK Assassination. The assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy in 1963 is considered one of the biggest events that opened the floodgates of doubt for people. The official story said Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. But from day one, many weren't convinced. Why? Because the event was too huge, and the details surrounding it were full of contradictions and questions with no convincing answers for some. Just 2 days later, Oswald himself was killed on live television, and that alone amplified the suspicion massively. From there, theories began to emerge. Some say there was more than one sniper, and that the shot didn't come from just one direction. Others point fingers at the CIA, the FBI, or even factions within the government itself. Some claimed Kennedy intended to make major changes in foreign policy or stop certain powerful entities, so they got rid of him. The famous video capturing the moment of the assassination fueled suspicions even more, especially for those who watched his body's reaction after the hit, saying it suggested shots from a different direction. Although official investigations reopened the file more than once, the case remains unclosed in the minds of many. The question isn't just, who killed JFK? The bigger question is, was the whole truth ever told? September 11th. This is one of the most widespread conspiracy theories of the modern era. The official narrative states that the September 11th attacks were an operation carried out by Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. But from that day until now, many people believe there's much more to the story. Some say the U.S. government itself knew about the attack beforehand and didn't lift a finger. Others go even further, claiming the whole thing was orchestrated to justify wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and to grant the state broader powers within America. The point they usually fixate on is the way the Twin Towers collapsed, especially Building 7. They argue the collapse looked more like a controlled demolition rather than just the result of plane impacts and fires. Some also question what happened at the Pentagon, claiming that what hit it wasn't a passenger plane at all. These theories spread even further through documentaries and websites that began deconstructing the official story piece by piece. Even though official investigations addressed most of these points, the theory is still alive today because it's tied to something bigger: a loss of trust in governments, especially when the decisions made after the event changed the entire world. Area 51. If there's one name directly linked to mystery and aliens, it's Area 51. This is a secret U.S. military base in the Nevada desert. The official narrative says it's dedicated to testing advanced aircraft and military technology, but conspiracy theorists see it in a completely different light. To them, this place isn't just a base. It's where the government hides secrets about extraterrestrials, UFO wreckage, and even non-human bodies. Much of this talk is linked to the famous Roswell incident in 1947, when a mysterious object crashed in New Mexico. The government said it was a weather balloon, but many felt the story was a cover-up. Years later, a man named Bob Lazar came forward, claiming he worked at a facility near Area 51 and saw attempts to reverse-engineer alien technology. Since then, the area has become a legend. Every photo, every strange light, every official no-entry sign only fueled the suspicion instead of calming it. Of course, there's a logical explanation. The secrecy is due to sensitive military experiments. But the sheer level of mystery made people believe there's something bigger. This theory survives because it blends human fear of the unknown with a passion for anything that hints we aren't alone in this universe. The Jeffrey Epstein case. This wasn't just a moral scandal or a typical criminal case. For many, it became a symbol of the idea that there is a class of wealthy and powerful elites who live above the law. Epstein was a man with connections to incredibly powerful figures: politicians, royalty, celebrities, and businessmen. When his file was exposed, with charges related to the sex trafficking of minors, the question that scared many began to surface. How could someone with this much influence do all this for years without anyone stopping him? After he was imprisoned in 2019 and died in his cell, the official report said he committed suicide. But this point specifically ignited endless conspiracy theories. Many said the man knew dangerous secrets about people more powerful than him, and if he spoke, major names would fall. Therefore, he was disposed of before he could open his mouth. The camera failures, the guarding errors, and the strange details around his death all became fuel for the theory. This is why the famous phrase, "Epstein didn't kill himself," went viral. Whether the theory is true or not, the case revealed something important to the public. When money, power, and corruption meet, trust in justice begins to crumble. The Illuminati. A name you've probably heard a lot. The Illuminati theory says there's a secret organization controlling the world from behind the curtain. Politics, economy, media, everything. Believers say top politicians, businessmen, and even celebrities are part of this network, and their ultimate goal is total world dominance and the imposition of a new world order. The idea originates from a real group founded in the 18th century in Europe, but it ended shortly after. Over time, it transformed from a historical fact into a massive legend. People began linking certain symbols, like the all-seeing eye or the pyramid, to this organization. They started seeing them everywhere, on currency, in songs, in music videos. The internet played a huge role in magnifying the idea. Every time a celebrity makes a strange gesture, some interpret it as a sign. Of course, there's no real evidence proving a single organization controls the world this way, But the theory lives on because it offers a simple explanation for the world's chaos. Instead of everything being random, there's an entity in control, which is both comforting and terrifying at the same time. Freemasonry. Freemasonry is one of the names that always pops up in conspiracy theories. Originally, it's an ancient group that started as a guild for stonemasons and builders in Europe, later turning into a brotherhood with its own rituals and secret meetings. But over time, suspicions grew. People say Freemasonry isn't just a regular group, but a powerful influence network within governments and economies, where members support each other to reach high positions and control decisions. Some link them to symbols spread around the world, like the eye or the pyramid, seeing them as evidence of their presence everywhere. Of course, some say Freemasonry today is just a social or symbolic organization with no such influence. But the mystery surrounding it made it fertile ground for theories. And with that, we've reached the end of the video.